The topic of discussion today is the thyroiditis, and this thyroiditis is the basically inflammatory condition of the thyroid gland. When there is inflammation in the thyroid follicular cells of the thyroid gland, is called thyroiditis. So this occurs in the structure of thyroid. So before going to this inflammatory process, we should give a brief view to the anatomy and physiology of the thyroid gland. So this one is the normal anatomy of the thyroid gland. Here you can see this one is the thyroid gland, and it is lie between the cricoid cartilage and trachea. The other structure which are related to the thyroid gland are this lies in the midline of the neck. So this one is the hyoid bone, and this one is the thyroid cartilage. This is the cricoid cartilage, and this one is the thyroid gland, and it has two lobes. One is this lobe, and the other one is this lobe. So both lobes are interconnected by the isthmus, and beneath is the trachea. So this is the normal anatomy of the thyroid gland. Its normal weight is 10 to 20 gram, and its thickness is 2 to 6 millimeter. And its whole measurement is 4 centimeter. So this is the normal anatomy of the thyroid gland. Now comes to its physiology. Normally, the thyroid gland produces the thyroid hormones, which are T3 triiodothyronine and T4 thyrotropin. These are the hormones which are produced, primary hormones which are produced by the thyroid gland. And these hormones release are controlled by the hypothalamus and pituitary gland. The hypothalamus releases the thyrotropin releasing hormone, carriage, and this hormone then acts on the pituitary gland, which releases the thyroid stimulating hormone TSH, which acts on the thyroid gland to release the primary thyroid hormones. These hormones are the T3 and T4. When the T3, 4, and T4 are in T3 and T4 are in extent amount, then it gives negative feedback to the hypothalamus to stop the release of the thyrotropin releasing hormone, and ultimately it stop the release of the thyroid stimulating hormone. So this is through the negative feedback mechanism, the production of the thyroid hormone will stop. But in the cases when there is the T3 and T4 level is low in the body, then through the positive feedback mechanism, it gives signals to the hypothalamus to release the thyrotropin releasing hormone, and then it acts TRH acts on the pituitary gland, which releases the thyroid stimulating hormone, and thyroid stimulating hormone acts on the thyroid gland to produce the thyroid hormones T4 and T4, T3 and T4, which are needed for the body. So this was the normal physiology of the thyroid gland. Now, in this picture, you can see there, this is the pituitary gland, and this one is the thyroid gland. So when there is a normal amount of the minerals and vitamins are stored, are present in the thyroid gland, then the whole the process will be normally occurs. So these are the minerals, zincs, and vitamins B1, B6, tyrosine, iodine, vanadium, B2, and vitamin C. These are the minerals and vitamins which are needed for the thyroid gland. When they are in the normal amount, then the thyroid gland will function normally. So in the normal state, the pituitary gland releases the thyroid stimulating hormone. So this thyroid stimulating hormone acts on the thyroid gland in the neck. So this releases the thyroid hormones. The first, it releases the T4, which is in the active state. Then it converts in the peripheral tissue the active form to the T3 triiodothyronine. So this is converted by the presence of the progesterone in signal in the body, which converts the inactive form of the T4 enithyroxine to the active form of the thyroid hormone T3 triiodothyronine and the peripheral tissue. So this gives energy to the body cells in the normal conditions. This one is the hemostasis in disease cases. When there is deficiency of the iodine, then the inactive form of the T4 will not be produced. The TSH will act on the thyroid follicular cells in the thyroid, but due to the absence of the iodine, it will not release the T4 from the thyroid gland. Ultimately, by the repeatedly stimulation of the thyroid follicular cells by the TSH, there will be the hyperplasia in the thyroid follicular cells, and also there will be hypertrophy in the thyroid follicular cells, and the thyroid gland will become swell up. So the swell up condition is called goiter. So in the cases when there is a deficiency of the minerals like iodine and other minerals, the active form, inactive form in T4 will not be produced by the thyroid gland, and the thyroid gland will be then swell up because of the repeated stimulation by the TSH, and goiter will be produced in those cases. So this was the process that in how in disease cases the thyroid gland swell up. Now comes to the what type of diseases occurs in the thyroid gland. So there are multiple of the diseases which involves the thyroid gland. Like there are congenital diseases, there will be the inflammation, and there will be the functional abnormality of the thyroid gland. There will be diffuse and multinodular goiters formation in the thyroid, diffuse and multinodulars. And the last one is the neoplasia, benign and malignant condition, which will occur in the thyroid gland. So we will discuss the congenital process which occurs in the thyroid gland. So this is the thyroglossal duct cyst. This is the cyst which is formed in the midline of the neck involved the thyroid gland. So this occurs because of the failure of the regression of the thyroglossal duct. So when it will not regress, then at this place a cyst will be formed. So here you can see this is the failure of the regression of the thyroglossal duct, and when it will not regress, then it will produce a cystic condition in the thyroid. So this is the cystic condition, and this will be filled up of the serous fluid. So its removal is mandatory because it will produces difficulty in breathing, and will produce pain, and will produce will be prone to the infectious process. That's why it should be removed surgically. So when it is removed, then you can see its histological features. This is the cystic structure, and this one is its lining epithelium. The lining epithelium is cuboidal, and the underlying stroma is composed of the thyroid follicles, and the thyroid follicles are filled up of the fluid material. So this is the thyroglossal duct cyst morphology, and you can see its histology in this picture. These are also the follicles which are filled with the colloid. This one is the blood vessels, and this one is the vein, and the blood vessels are occupied by the RBCs. So this is the histology of the cyst. This one is the cyst. Lining epithelium is the cuboidal epithelium, and here the epithelium is attenuated. So this was all about the thyroglossal duct histology. Now comes to the inflammatory process. So what type of the inflammatory process occurs in the thyroid gland? So these are the inflammatory process in the thyroid gland is called thyroiditis. So what type of cells in which inflammation occurs? These will be the thyroid follicular cells. So we can classify the thyroiditis into 4 or 5 processes. One is the acute thyroiditis and chronic thyroiditis because of the infectious process. The infections can be bacterial, viral, and maybe fungus and others. So they cause the acute thyroiditis and chronic thyroiditis. The other ones are the subacute granulomatous or decurvine thyroiditis, autoimmune thyroiditis, which is also called lymphocytic thyroiditis, and Hashimoto thyroiditis. And the other one is the renal thyroiditis, painless thyroiditis, and postpartum thyroiditis. These are the 4 or 5 types of the thyroid inflammatory processes by which we can classify the thyroiditis. So we will discuss one by one there. So the first one is the granulomatous thyroiditis. As its name indicates, there will be the granuloma formation in the inflammatory process of the thyroid. So that's why it is called granulomatous thyroiditis. And when we see the that thyroid gland on the grass examination. When there is the term of morphology comes by morphology, which means the grass and microscopic appearance of the tissue or organ. By grass means that what we see on our naked eyes, and by microscopy means that when we see the processes or the cells under microscopic examination. So morphology is the combination of the grass appearance and microscopic appearance. By the grass appearances, in the case of the granulomatous thyroiditis, the thyroid gland will be asymmetrically enlarged. By microscopically, we will see the marked inflammation and granuloma formation in the giant cells. So we will see in the granulomatous decurrent thyroiditis, there will be inflammatory process, there will be the granuloma formation and giant cells. So we will see these things on its morphology. This is the microscopic picture of the decurrent thyroiditis or subacute thyroiditis or granulomatous thyroiditis. This is the huge inflammatory process which occurs in the thyroid gland. These are the thyroid follicles which are filled with the colloid material. This is basically a granuloma which is in a circular form. You can see this is the granuloma in the circular form, and in between there is inflammation, and here you can see the giant cell. The giant cells, this is the cell which is there is a collection of the nuclei at the periphery of the cell. So this is a Langerhans type of the giant cell. You can also see these are the giant cells. This one is also a giant cells. This one is a small granuloma, and this one is the giant cells. So these are the follicles of the thyroid follicles filled with the colloid material. So the histologically, what type of identification points we will see? We will see the inflammatory cells, granuloma formation, and the giant cells. So these three are the identification points of the decurrent or subacute or granulomatous thyroiditis. Again, this is the high power view of the microscopic examination of the decurrent thyroiditis or granulomatous thyroiditis. This one is the giant cells. Here the collection of the nuclei in the cell. These are also the collection of the nuclei at the one edge, at the periphery. This one is also a giant cell. This was also a giant cell, and the whole is the granuloma. And in the background, you can see the inflammatory cells. So the identification point are the inflammatory cells, granuloma formation, and giant cells. So these are the identification points of the decurrent thyroiditis or granulomatous thyroiditis. Now the second one is the Hashimoto thyroiditis. This is also called autoimmune thyroiditis and lymphocytic thyroiditis. This one is the most common cause of the hypothyroidism. And the initial cases is in the autoimmune thyroiditis or Hashimoto thyroiditis, there will be the hyperthyroid process, and then with passage of time, the Hashimoto thyroiditis will turn into the hypothyroidism. So the ratio between the male to female to male is 10 to 20, and mostly it occurs in the ages of 45 to 65 years. And there will be the painless symmetrical enlargement of the thyroid gland. So this one is the gross appearance of the Hashimoto thyroiditis thyroid gland. Here you can see the gray brown surface of the thyroid gland, and these are the nodules formation. These gray white small areas are the nodules. These are the nodules formation in the Hashimoto thyroiditis, and the area will be pale and brown. So these are the gross appearance of the thyroid gland in case of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. And again, this one is the histological features of the histological identification points of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. In Hashimoto thyroiditis, there will be the excessive accumulation of the lymphocytes, and when these they form the lymphoid aggregates, and the lymphoid aggregates can form the germinal centers. So these are the identification points of the Hashimoto thyroiditis: accumulation or aggregates of the lymphocytes, and there will be the formation of the germinal center and the lymphocytic aggregates. So these three are the identification points of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. In the background here, these are the thyroid follicles which are filled with the colloid material. Again, this one is also, these are the lymphoid aggregates, and you can appreciate also the germinal center which are formed in the lymphoid aggregates. And in the background, you can see the thyroid follicular cell, thyroid follicular epithelium, thyroid follicles which are filled with the colloid. So by this you can say you can recognize that the tissue is taken from the thyroid gland by the seeing these thyroid follicles and accumulation of the colloid material. So this was all about the Hashimoto thyroiditis morphology. Now, this one is the Hashimoto thyroiditis. By this, you can remember that what occurs in the Hashimoto thyroiditis. H stands for the hypothyroid state, and initially there will be hypothyroidism, and then with the passage of time, gradually it transfers into the hypothyroid state. And for the A, it is autoimmune disease, and S, it gives the it can be reversible by giving the synthetic treatment, synthroid treatment or synthetic treatment, and there will be the Hartle cell change. Hartle cell change, there will be the follicular cells will take the eosinophilic or pink appearance. The pink appearance of the follicular epithelial cells of the follicular cells of the thyroid is called Hartle cell change. So there will be the Hartle change in the thyroid follicular epithelial cells. Initially, this hashimototoxicosis or thyrotoxicosis or hyperthyroidism, and its complication will cause marginal zone lymphoma. This M stands for the marginal zone lymphoma, and goiter formation. There will be swelling of the thyroid gland, and T stands for the thyroid peroxidase antibodies or antimicrosomal antibodies. TPA, thyroid peroxidase antibodies or antimicrosomal antibodies, and anti-thyroglobulin antibodies. These are the abbreviation for the T and the Hashimoto. And there is the OS, lymphocytic infiltrate, and lymphocytic aggregate. There will be the lymphocyte accumulation in the thyroid stroma. So these are the features by which you can remember from the Hashimoto thyroiditis. H stands for the hypothyroid, A for the autoimmune, S for the synthetic treatment, H for the Hartle cell change, I for the initial thyrotoxicosis, M for the marginal non-Hodgkin lymphoma, and O for the goiter, and TO thyroid peroxidase antibodies, and OS for the lymphocyte infiltrate. So this is the pathogenesis of the Hashimoto thyroiditis, that by which mechanism the Hashimoto thyroiditis occurs in the thyroid gland. So this is a immunological process, immune process. When there is some antigens in the form of the thyroglobulins forms in the thyroid gland, then our immune system will be activated. So when our immune system activated in the form of the cytotoxic T cells and helper T cells, they will attack on the thyroid follicular epithelial cells. So the thyroid follicular cells, when these are attacked the thyroid follicular epithelial cells, then the inflammatory process will be started in the thyroid gland. So when the inflammatory process starts in the thyroid gland, and ultimately it will go towards the chronic inflammation, and chronic inflammation will be resolved by the fibrosis formation. So fibrosis will be found within the thyroid gland. Again, when this is the Hashimoto thyroiditis is basically immunological process in which the thyroid, our immune system will be activated against the thyroid antigen. The thyroid antigen will be anything. It may be the thyroglobulins, it may be other things in the thyroid gland which activates our immune system. And our immune system activates the helper T cells and cytotoxic C cells. The cytotoxic C cells directly damage the cytotoxic in CD8 T cells directly damage the thyroid follicular epithelial cells, while the helper T cells in CD4 T cells will activate the process of the inflammation, which releases the inflammatory mediators in the form of the cytokines, in the form of the interleukins. So this inflammatory process, with the passage of time, will transfer into the chronic inflammatory process, and the chronic inflammatory process will be resolved by the fibrosis. So this was all about the pathogenesis of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. Here is this one is the sketch by which you can also remember the pathogenesis or mechanism of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. These are the thyroid follicular epithelial cells. So when some antigen comes and it activates our immunological process, then the T cells will be activated in the form of the helper T cell and in the form of the cytotoxic T cell. The cytotoxic T cells are represented by the CD8 T cells, and the helper T cells are represented by the CD4 T cells. And these T cells also activate the plasma cells. So the cytotoxic T cells directly breaks the normal thyroid follicular epithelial cells. As you can appreciate, these are the normal cells. So when they are attacked by the cytotoxic T cells, ultimately they become alive. So the helper T cells started the process of the inflammation in the form of the inflammatory cells like the lymphocytes, macrophages, and it releases the mediators in the form of the gamma interferon, in the form of the cytokines, in the form of the interleukins, and in the form of the tumor necrosis factors. And due to that inflammatory process, it will damage the normal epithelial cells of the thyroid. These are the normal cells, and these are the damaged cells of the thyroid cells by the inflammatory process. And the third one is the plasma cells. The plasma cells are activated by the helper T cells, and the plasma cell releases the anti-thyroid antibodies. So these antibodies attach to these follicular epithelial cells and vulnerable to make them damage. So, and this process is called antibody-mediated cytotoxicity or antibody-dependent damage of the thyroid epithelial cells. So this was all about the pathogenesis of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. So when this Hashimoto thyroiditis is present, then ultimately with the passage of time, its complication will occur. So what will be their complication? There will be the malignant lymphoma formation, like the marginal zone lymphoma formation. There will be the leukemia formation in the case of the Hashimoto thyroiditis. There will be the papillary carcinoma and Hürthle cell neoplasm. So these complications occur with the passage of time, with long time, when this Hashimoto autoimmune thyroiditis is not treated, and then turns into its complications. Now come to the renal thyroiditis. Now, what will be the renal thyroiditis? Renal thyroiditis is the condition in which the thyroid gland become too much hard. The too much hardness is because of the accumulation of the fibrous tissue in the thyroid gland. So it will be too much hard that it will be like a stony. So when you cut that thyroid gland, it will give too much resistance in cutting. So there will be and microscopically, you will see there will be too much accumulation of the fibrous tissue in the thyroid gland. This one is the microscopic view of the thyroid gland. Here you can see these are the reddish lines which are perpendicularly present. These are basically the fibrous tissue which is almost replaced the thyroid gland. And in the background, there you can see the scattered inflammatory cells in form of the plasma cells and the lymphocytes. So the main thing is the fibrous tissue accumulation in the thyroid gland in the cases of the renal thyroiditis. And it will be too much hard, it will be too much firm, and firmly it will be attached to the thyroid gland. So this was all about the renal thyroiditis. Thank you.